Hi, Market Insights watchers. Well, before we begin to cover our regular topics of Market Roundup, Tech Megatrends, and Crypto Corner, Ian and I would like to thank each of our wonderful Market Insights watchers and readers who wrote in honoring our fallen heroes in the past, this past Memorial Day. The dozens and dozens of responses were overwhelming, they were sobering, and it just so happens that my family and I visited Arlington Cemetery this past Friday, and while spending time in Washington, D.C., just having the honor and the privilege to traverse the hallowed grounds of the cemetery was truly an experience that I will not soon forget. KCM, who served as Master Sergeant in the U.S. Air Force, wrote in and shared the following tribute with us. Casey wrote, "Thank you for sending an email in commemoration of Memorial Day. It means a lot to us and those who made the ultimate sacrifice, and for you to take your time in honoring those and their families especially." So thank you very, very much, Casey, for writing into us, and thank you so much for your service.
Thanks, Amber. I just want to reiterate, when I read those, I was just so overcome with emotion. It means so much to us that you are a part of our community, and we love trying to help you and love hearing about your story. And thank you, everyone out there, for your service and for family members who have also, service this country, this great country we live in, and allow us to do, what we do here at Banyan Hill. So that was really a heartfelt, and thank you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone.
It was really interesting, Amber, that you could have, kind of in the middle of that, you went to Arlington National Cemetery over the weekend. And I also heard that you were telling me before that you also went to the White House this weekend.
Yes, we
Do
did.
you want to share a little bit of that story with?
Of course. So I went to visit my grandmother, first of all. This is how it began. And she lives in New Jersey. She's 94 years young,
Wow.
independent living, strong, vibrant woman. We love her. So we visited grandma. And then it's my mother's birthday. So we were up in New York City to see a Broadway show but on the way home, we stopped at Washington, D.C. And I wrote our local Congress person a few months ago for tickets to the White House because it was my mother's birthday. And we were granted access. They put us through the FBI background check, all that. And my mother is having some issues with her knee right now. So she's in a wheelchair so we can get her around quickly. But we did visit the White House on Thursday. And because she was in a wheelchair, we got into a restricted area of the White House.
Boy.
They said no pictures to be taken. We're like, no problem. And because we needed access to the elevator, and the elevator happened to be in the kitchen of the White House. And so when I'm looking at what they're cooking, I saw plantains, I saw like green tomatoes, I suppose for fried green tomatoes, who knows? And my mother inquired with the Secret Service agent who was accompanying us, and we got into an elevator with one of the chefs from the White House. And my mom's like, "So who are you cooking for?" And they were very mum's the word, no words. But the very next day, Friday, we found out that all that food was likely for the Kansas City Chiefs who were visiting that next day to commemorate their Super Bowl win. So it was just
That's so cool. There must have been like a ton of food too, because
yes, a ton of food, but very, very, very secure. So
yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. Great story. So what do we got this week?
Of course. So in Market Roundup, I thought we'd kick things off by looking ahead to what we can expect this week in major economic U.S. Data news. So on Wednesday, we have the ADP employment change for May. It posts at 8:15 a.m. And just a reminder, the ADP measures the U.S. Company hiring in the private sector. Economists, are expecting a dip in this number to 175,000 from a strong 192,000 in April. On Thursday, we have April's trade balance, which is posting at 8:30 a.m. A trade balance measures the difference between the movement of merchandise, trade and or services, leaving the U.S., which are exports, and entering the U.S., imports. A country really that imports more goods and services than it exports in terms of value has a trade deficit, while a country that, of course, exports more goods and services than it imports has a trade surplus. So a positive number there indicates that more goods and services were exported. than imported. But in this case, economists are anticipating a widening of the U.S. trade balance to a deficit of $76.4 billion from a deficit of $69.4 billion in March. And on Fridays, May's jobs report will post at 8:30 a.m. Big jobs number there. Economists are expecting to see an increase in non-farm payrolls with the unemployment rate remaining unchanged. So that's what I'm seeing, Ian. And I just want to touch
Friday's a big day.
It's a big day. But Ian, you sent a really great post to our Twitter, not Twitter, to our internal Slack channel on regarding Carl Quintanillas and outlook for disinflation. I didn't know if you wanted to touch on
Yeah,
that.
no, it's something from Morgan Stanley that crossed the tape this week. They were highlighting something we've been talking about, and they say that we believe April data launched a sequence of weaker inflation readings with faster deceleration in the second half of 2024. And this trend underpins our call for the Fed to cut 3 times this year, starting in September. So now Morgan Stanley is out saying that Fed's going to cut 3 times. Friday is there are 2 very important dates in the month, every month, for economic news. Number one is the jobs report, which comes out the first Friday of the month. And then the second one is the CPI, which comes out during the middle of the month, sometime around the middle of the month. Now, I remember, when I first started working on Wall Street, Amber, when you actually had traders on the trading floor at 8:29 a.m. East Coast time, first Friday of the month, everyone on the floor would be just basically huddled, staring at their screen, waiting for that number to come out. And on the bond floor, the economist who would come on the floor, he would see the number, he would scream it out to everyone, and then it would just be complete pandemonium. Now, of course, all of the computers and algorithms running it, there's not as much commotion as there was back then, but it still moves the market. And what we've seen over the last couple of months is that the jobs number has come in weaker than expected. Okay. So economists were estimating the last couple of months somewhere over 200,000. It came in below 200,000. And what that means is the economy is starting to slow, which should tamp down prices, which should give the Fed room to start cutting. And that's the trend that we've been seeing over the last couple of weeks. Is why the market has been up. I mean, one reason. The other reason is for the acceleration of artificial intelligence. So that's what we're looking for. Another weaker number on Friday, most likely. 10-year rates around 4.5%. If we get a weak number, we'll probably go down to 4.3, 4.35, and that should be good enough for the market to move to a new high, as it has been doing.
Okay. Good information.
And set the stage for a nice summer rally that, we've been talking about for the last month or so.
Yes, we are looking forward to that summer rally, Ian. All pins and needles.
All right.
Yes, so in tech megatrends, let's look there. Everyone, please check out this latest tech industry scorecard from Bloomberg Intelligence. Now, this scorecard ranks what tech industries are currently favorable, neutral, or unfavorable for investment. The last time I shared this scorecard on Market Insights, which was March 25th of this year, actually had semiconductors ranked number 1 for investment opportunity, which held fast with the S&P 500 semiconductor and semiconductor equipment index rising about 9% since then. But now, the latest scorecard favors electronic equipment there, as well as software, second, moving semiconductors to third place. Now, electronic equipment is seen as favorable for its robust price momentum, as well as its fast improving earnings trends. So what companies are electronic equipment? Well, they include companies that focus on tech like barcode scanners, GPS, laser optical technologies, and machine vision tech. So if you're a Strategic Fortune subscriber, then you know that we just added a machine vision stock to the model portfolio in the past May issue, just a couple of days ago. The machine vision pioneer that Ian sees is possibly tripling in price by 2027. Electronic companies, equipment companies are the backbone that support seamless function of companies in industries like manufacturing, transportation, as well as logistics, Ian. So I'd just like to say, if you're not yet a member of Strategic Fortunes, we'd love to have you join the family. family, please click the bull icon right here over my shoulder or to see the link in the email that accompanies this video. But I just thought that was so cool, Ian, to see that machine vision or these type of electronic equipment type companies are now ranking in this scorecard #1, which lines up with what you recommended for me.
Yeah, there's this old saying that from a famous venture capitalist
Mhm.
last decade who said that software is going to eat the world.
Mhm.
Software did eat the world in the last decade. Now hardware is coming back to eat the world because what happened is we basically, with software, we're able to take any information in the world and turn it into data and turn it into bytes and
Right.
manipulate those bytes and create algorithms that can do things automatically and autonomously. And now that we have this intelligence, this artificial intelligence, the hardware and components become more valuable because
Mm.
the things that you can actually build with them and put essentially an AI brain in them
Mm.
makes that piece come to life and becomes more intelligent. So that has really been the trend this decade, is moving from software back into hardware. And of course, the main hardware play has been Nvidia, right? I mean,
Right.
Nvidia is basically the stock of the decade, and
Mhm.
it's beginning to lift all boats in the electronic components market as well.
Awesome. Great. Good to see there. So, Ian, I know you were away at a conference. Let's talk about Crypto Corner. What's happening there in
Yeah,
Vegas?
crypto corner. So this can be a short crypto corner because something else I want to talk about. But Andrew and I went to the Consensus conference in Austin, Texas last week. It
Mhm.
was great, 3-day conference. Got to meet a lot of industry insiders. We're going to do a full report for crypto subscribers this week. I'm going to sit down with Andrew and talk about the top things we saw this week. But just a little tease. One thing, Amber,
Mhm.
that was interesting about this conference is that if the crypto people 10 years ago could see us today, we wouldn't recognize each other. And the reason why I say that is because 10 years ago in 2014, it was all about this outside money, this alternative money, this idea of ending the Fed with Bitcoin and moving to a new financial system. This year was like, when are you going to regulate us? Like asking the government, like, when are you going to approve our ETFs? When are you going to allow us to work with traditional finance and underpin the financial system? So it's a little ironic that 10 years ago was a lot of anarchists, and now there were probably 5 or 6 politicians there,
Mm.
and I got to see Robert Kennedy actually give a talk as well. So a little bit of irony there, crypto industry asking for more regulation, but also one thing to note, Amber, is that the crypto folks have started their own super PAC to basically back politicians that are pro crypto.
Mm.
I believe as of this morning, it's up to about $100 million. So this is a significant amount. And what this tells me is, I mean, I hate to say that politicians can be bought, but if you look at the amount of lobbying that happens in the pharmaceutical industry and the financial industry, and why regulations are very favorable to those industries, it happens to do with the idea that you can pay politicians and give them money for their reelection if they promote favorable legislation to you. It's just how things work in the United States. A little bit of cynicism there, but and so that, to me, that is a major positive for the future of crypto. That the fact that very wealthy crypto investors have basically gotten together, raised a ton of money, and will be impacting elections going forward for pro crypto candidates. Now, we're going to talk more about that on Thursday on the crypto webinar. But one thing I want to share with everybody today, Amber, and
Okay.
this is a device that I ordered in January after I went to the Consumer Electronics Show. So this
Okay.
is the Rabbit R1. This
Okay.
is an AI consumer device,
Mhm.
and this thing is a piece of garbage. Like, I'll just come out and say it.
Okay, Ian.
Um, so this was very hyped at CES.
Mhm.
What it does is basically a large action model. So, you've heard of large language models, which is like ChatGPT. This is a large action model, and what is it supposed to do, even though it doesn't work,
Hmm.
is basically integrate with your own apps and take out a lot of like the steps. So if you, let's say you need an Uber to go to the beach, you just basically say, you press a button and say, hey, get me an Uber to go to the beach, right? If you
Okay.
want to order a pizza, you just press the button and say, send a pizza to my address. And it does like all the steps and work for you.
Hmm.
And also it's supposed to have a camera on here that you can point at things and it'll identify it.
Hmm.
Um, this should have never been released, by the way. And so what this I'm segueing to is that uh, consumer tech and hardware is very difficult. It's very, very difficult to start a new company and go against, Apple, Samsung, Amazon with their Alexa devices, Google. It is very, very difficult market to get involved in. But there is a big announcement coming in the next couple of weeks that I think is going to set the tone for the rest of the year. We've heard from pretty much every tech company about what their AI strategy is. We have not heard from Apple.
Mm.
Apple on June 10th, their Worldwide Developers Conference, is set to announce what their AI strategy is. I believe this is going to be the release of the AI phone. And this is important for a number of reasons. First and foremost, as we've said in the previous, do you know what Apple iPhone you have, Amber?
Oh, I think it's a 14. I think
Yeah,
it's
see, you don't even know, right? Because like the new
Mm.
phone wasn't exciting. It wasn't
Mm.
like, oh, I got the iPhone 3 and it's got 3G capabilities. Remember that back in the day?
Mhm. I do.
Now it's just like I just got the new iPhone. Like it's the same thing as it has been before, and it's been that way for the past 4 or 5 years, right? I
Mhm.
mean, how much better can these cameras actually get?
Mm.
Well, I believe Apple is going to announce a phone that allows you to do many of these AI calculations on the phone. Now, when you think of AI, all of AI right now, except for some devices that have fast enough neural processing,
Mhm.
is done in the cloud.
Okay.
And so that's why we're building these huge data centers. That's why NVIDIA is the most, has risen higher than any other company as quickly in history. And that's why the hyperscalers, Microsoft, Apple, Google are spending tens of billions, soon hundreds of billions of dollars building these data centers.
Hmm.
AI is going to move, and this is probably the biggest event that's going to happen this year. AI is going to move from just happening at the core to happening at the edge. Okay, and you're going to hear a lot about AI on the edge in the next couple months. And that means that AI is going to happen, the calculations will happen on the devices you own. So that could be, your iPad, your MacBook, if it comes to Apple, your iPhone.
Mhm.
And Apple's going to outline that strategy on June 10th. Now, we have seen in the past when Apple moves into a specific category, it wipes everybody else out.
Mm.
And do you remember what you used to listen to before an iPod? You had an iPod, of course,
Oh,
right?
yes.
You're in it.
Still
Okay.
do.
Yeah. Did you have a Sony Walkman before that? What did you have?
I had my little CD Walkman. I even
Yeah.
had one of those other electronic devices that were like an iPod, but they were like a knockoff, not the Apple related.
Okay. So the iPod came out and it was like, what's a CD? Nobody has CDs. I mean,
Yeah.
like it was like, it took my wife like 10 years to throw out my CD collection. She was like trying to get rid of it the whole time. Anyway, I'm sure some of you still have CDs out there. They are actually better to listen to than digital music, but not as convenient.
Yeah.
Um, and then Apple moved in the smartphone market. Remember a company called BlackBerry,
Oh yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And also Palm Pilot completely
Hmm.
wiped out.
Yep.
Apple is now going to be moving into the AI market.
Mm.
And, this is going to be a game changer for the iPhone in the sense that the going to speed up. So if you look at smartphone sales on an annual basis, they've been trending lower since the COVID boom in 2020 and 2021 when everybody bought new electronics.
Hmm.
We're going to see a reacceleration of the cycle.
Mm.
What I'm getting to is that when Apple does stuff like this, there are always these like small micro cap, little known companies that nobody's ever heard of that have a significant portion of their sales that go to Apple
Hmm.
that see their profits completely accelerate and turn around very quickly.
Hmm.
And I put together a webinar that we're playing. We're going to be doing this on June 5th.
Hmm.
There's no sign up sheet, but we're going to email everybody of that. So it's going to be June 5th at 1 p.m. And we're going to go through basically the history of Apple, how many times it's moved into a new market and completely dominated, the companies that have benefited from it, and the ways to play this move. Because I think this June 10th date with the Apple Worldwide Developers Conference is going to be a huge shift in AI. And you remember, Amber, a year ago, we were as early as anyone on talking about ChatGPT on and how it will benefit people and how it will set this new AI cycle higher. So far this year, Amber, we've recommended Micron because we think the PC cycle is going to accelerate. That stock's up 37% in 3 months. We also have AMD in the portfolio, which has been moving up lately. We've had AMD for 4 years now. We're up 266% in it. And I do think there are a number of stocks that are really going to benefit from this Apple announcement on June 10th. You want to get in, you want to get ahead of it. So please check out that webinar on June 5th. We'll have an email with more details for you in the coming days. So look out for that.
That is so exciting, Ian. Yes, we look forward to everyone tuning in again June 5th, 1 p.m. Eastern time. So, Ian.
Awesome. Do we have anything in the mailbag this week?
Well, the mailbag was all about honoring our fallen heroes from our vets. It was just amazing. So if you have any stock related question or market related question, anything that's on your mind, please email us at marketinsights@bannionhill.com and we'll address it next week.
Awesome. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Thanks, Amber, for joining me, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.